Now, for more on the international reaction to the G7 summit and U.S. President Donald Trump's appearance, I'm joined by Hafed AlGhwell. He's a senior advisor at Maxwell Stamp, an international economics advisory and consultancy firm. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
So, in your opinion, what did you see as the key highlights from the G7?
Well, the position of the president, which is not a surprise. I mean, he's been saying that throughout his campaign about NATO. But one was hoping that he's going to change his mind and act differently, as he did on other issues. It is his way of internalizing these issues of NATO, of trade, and so on, is quite short-sighted, especially for the United States. I mean, let's not forget that NATO is an invention of the United States in many, many ways, and the U.S. has benefited from it enormously, globally. The fact that you reduce it to dollars and cents and who paid what at what point really misses the big picture, that this is a platform for the leadership of the United States. Like a lot of the international order post-World War II was created by the United States and also maintained the global leadership of the U.S. Trying to withdraw from that is a dangerous game to play.
And we did certainly see some cages rattled during his appearances. Let's take a look. The G7 communique, all countries except the U.S. reaffirmed their position on the Paris Climate Accord. How highly did this rank in terms of the issues that they really disagreed on or didn't have consensus on among the G7 leaders?
It seems to be a major issue. There is also the issue of immigration, which was relegated in the back. A lot of the fundamental issues facing the globe, like climate change, or that are of direct interest to Europe, like immigration, for example, seem to be sidelined by the president. In fact, sort of really, he has become an obstacle for these things. That's the trouble with Trump, is that he is withdrawing, or causing the United States to withdraw globally across multiple fronts. Climate change, the idea of dealing with immigration issues that is impacting Africa and Europe, the idea of NATO, his tough talk about trade. That's a very dangerous game to play. That's basically the United States withdrawing from the global stage, which will cause a lot of the other players to start competing. That's going to create a certain destabilization factor in global affairs.
And how much did that affect or overshadow the other things? As you mentioned, the migrant crisis, the future of global trade, you have this protectionist stance coming from the US, and also terrorism, Syria, among other issues. A lot of issues, obviously, for the leaders to deal with. Do you think this was overshadowed by a lot of the US's stance?
Yes, in many, many ways. And I think you saw that reflected, for example, in Chancellor Merkel's statement yesterday, that Germany can no longer rely on the traditional allies. And it was an obvious statement directed at the United States. I mean, you are, the process or the rhetorics of the president is causing a lot of enormously strong and traditional allies to rethink their positions, and to see that they cannot really rely on the United States, which is extremely unique in the last 50, 60 years.
And it's interesting because from Trump's tweet, he seemed to think that the meetings went very well. Obviously, we've seen a lot of international leaders taking a very different stance. What do you think his appearance on the international stage has done for relations between the US and his Western allies?
I think it seems to be damaging. I mean, he damaged a lot of his relationships, even on a personal level. He's not an easy personality to like or to deal with. And leaders usually need that as a great asset in their international dealings. He rubs a lot of international leaders the wrong way. He says things that are really quite inappropriate in the settings that he's in. He keeps on looking at the world in very limited terms, in terms of dollars and cents. I mean, even from without NATO, I mean, look his statements in Saudi Arabia about them covering their cost of protection. He thinks that the US needs to be paid for these things. The reality is the United States got a lot of benefit from these alliances over decades. It wasn't done as a favor to Europe or to the Middle East. It was done to maintain American leadership in the world. Withdrawing from all of these at the same time and giving all kinds of signals as if he's haggling on real estate deals is quite a unique experience, and I think it will impact the United States in a very negative way.
So clearly some negotiation tactics not going down quite well on the international stage. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Hafed AlGhwell, Senior Advisor at Maxwell Stamp.
Thank you.